It is 10 o'clock. Welcome in. This is Three Man Front. We are live at Social Taco. The doors will officially open at 11, but Officer Walt is here guarding us as we speak, and Don Don snuck in somehow.
Hey.
Don Don is officially back. I've had some people text me and ask me if we were indeed going to be back today, and we said, well, technically, everything works out okay. We should be there. And the next question was, will Don Don be there?
Hopefully he didn't bring us any germs or viruses back from wherever he has been.
Yeah, he's been all over the world.
Did you get your
cruise.
shots before you left?
He did. Oh, wow.
Upon return as well?
That's good.
Oh, no, not return.
Okay.
Not his return.
Well, you don't want me to say it on the air. I got one in mind.
I
Hey.
didn't do nothing wrong.
Okay.
Yeah, okay.
I set a record for meeting the most people on a boat, though.
Okay.
All right.
All right.
That does not surprise me.
Yep.
Yeah, we'll hear more from that later.
Welcome into Social Taco. The doors are going to open, as Pat mentioned, at 11 o'clock. It's Taco Tuesday, mix and match, and dollar cerveza if you so choose.
Mike Griffith is scheduled to be with us in just a couple of minutes from the AJC, DawgNation.com. And the 11 o'clock hour, Ira Chaffel, one of the good friends of ours, he covers the Florida State Seminoles for War Chant Illustrated. He will join the program. We'll get his thoughts on this upcoming game. Ira is extremely honest, and he knows the program as well as anybody in Tallahassee, so we'll get his thoughts on the game upcoming. And Dimitri Ravenos will join us in the 1 o'clock hour from SEC Unfiltered. Has some thoughts on Lee Corso's final broadcast coming up this weekend. But we start the program, a disturbing story that came out yesterday afternoon, and this could affect a good many Auburn fans across the Southland. And it's the fact that YouTube TV has confirmed that it's in active negotiations with Fox TV over a new contract. If the companies can't reach an agreement by Wednesday, Friday night's Auburn-Baylor game, and, of course, Saturday's Texas-Ohio State matchup may be unavailable for those that subscribe to YouTube TV. If no agreement is reached long-term, YouTube will give you a $10 credit.
Hey.
So
Thanks.
you don't get to watch the Auburn game, but, hey, you get $10.
Well, it might be a blessing in disguise because Auburn fans will not have to listen to RG3 on the broadcast.
That is true. That is very true. Conrad and I went through this a couple years ago, and I know you guys were making fun of me and Conrad because we had DirecTV and you guys had YouTube TV. So now it seems like you guys are potentially going to be held hostage this week.
Oh, I have the antenna
Well, that's good.
for backup situations just like this when we have squabbles, unnecessary squabbles with networks and providers. I've got the old antenna that I hook up, and I will be able to watch with RG3 muted.
Well, Conrad went ahead and reached out to Felipe in Guatemala.
I thought it was
Oh,
Lupe.
y'all are going to be in great hands. Don't you worry.
Conrad reached out to him and said, hey, listen, we got two showmates, Molly and Landrum. They subscribe to YouTube TV, and they might not be able to watch the game. Any way that you could hook them up on Twitch like you hooked us up. What was his response, Conrad, when you reached out? First off, how's he doing? Is he doing okay?
He is doing great. He actually said he's upgraded his setup a little bit, so you will
Sweet.
get, you know how some people have the face cam? So
Yeah.
while you're watching the game, he's actually going to be doing his own version of play-by-play and color.
Oh, so it'll be picture-in-picture. So the Auburn game will be on, but he'll be in the corner of the screen describing what he's seeing, I guess, in Spanish, right?
Correct.
Is that
Well,
what
he
he's
heard
doing?
the
Okay.
outcry over RG3 being on the broadcast, Pat, and so he figured that he would not only provide a way for people to watch the game, but also listen. So y'all are going to really, really enjoy it on
I'm
Friday
excited
night.
about meeting Lupe and finding so much more about him.
A small
than you guys
donation
have
is
divulged.
appreciated, Landrum. I'll just throw that out there.
A small donation?
Yes. A lot goes a little goes a long way for
Yeah.
Lupe.
What do I put in that Venmo caption?
Sports gambling.
Yeah, put sports gambling or loser of a bet or something like that. That's what you need to put.
I mean,
in.
technically, it could be listed as missions, right?
Sure, it's a football mission.
Yeah.
Have you got your stuff covered for the game in case?
I've got some connections.
Okay.
I got people.
Okay, I was just making sure. Now, where's the is the Nebraska game Thursday night? Is that on ESPN?
Mhm.
Oh, okay. Well, you're covered there.
Yeah, I'm good.
You'd be really scrambling if that was a Fox broadcast.
Oh, I would be a whole different person today.
So what do y'all think? What's the prediction? You think this will go through the weekend? Think it'll at least go to the start of the NFL season?
No, I think it gets done.
I think so too.
I think the power of the Ohio State University.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's done right after the Auburn-Baylor game.
See, that's my thing. Is I feel like if you're an Auburn fan, you might be out of luck, but I don't think they're going to let the Ohio State Texas game. They're not
Ohio
gonna
State
miss
and
that.
Texas. No, there's no way they're missing.
Cannot miss that.
Nope.
Here's the other part that's interesting to me, and I don't. By the way, I agree with y'all. I think this will be settled sooner than later. But knowing that YouTube TV or Google that owns YouTube, that they have the Sunday ticket package for the NFL, what if this thing does stretch out into the NFL season? Does that mean that Fox will not provide their broadcasts to Sunday Direct Ticket?
I don't know.
Well,
Does
Or-
Tom
or-
Brady still get paid the amount of money that he's owed?
Well, YouTube TV has 9 million subscribers nationwide. DirecTV has 12 million. So when that was going on a couple years ago with DirecTV, of course, at that time DirecTV was owned by AT&T. So
Yeah.
that was a little bit. DirecTV has been sold to someone else, so AT&T no longer owns it. So that's interesting about the whole Google situation and them owning the Sunday ticket.
I wonder what percentage of DirecTV customers are still hardwired like you.
Well, Conrad is.
Okay. So that's at least two of you guys.
Yeah. There's two. All right, let's go to the Higginbotham hotline. He joins us each and every Tuesday from the AJC, covers the Southeastern Conference, also the Georgia Bulldogs for DawgNation.com. He's one of the most wealthy landowners in South Alabama. Mike Griffith joins us here on Three Man Front. Hey, Mike.
Hey, guys. How's it going?
It's game week. I don't know how it is over in the state of Georgia, but I can tell you over here in the state of Alabama with these very intriguing games with Alabama going to Tallahassee, Auburn heading to Waco, Texas. It's a lot of excitement over here. What about in the state of Georgia? Everybody fired up for the Bulldogs' first game?
Oh, yeah. I can't wait to see Marshall, But, it's interesting. You're talking about those matchups. I mean, who would have thought we'd be today, the way Alabama and Auburn used to schedule, where you'd have this intriguing match and on the road, right? They're both on the road. Isn't that right? Alabama's going to FSU.
That's correct.
Auburn's traveling. I mean, wow.
Yep.
I mean,
Both on the road.
Where's everybody going to drive to Jacksonville State for a game or South Alabama maybe? I don't know. I guess
Well,
they're gonna be
UAB plays
traveling-
Thursday. UAB plays Thursday night at Protective in downtown. So a lot of people will be
Well,
there.
that's what I mean. I mean, after going to that game, they're going to want more, right?
Yes. It's just the
No.
tip of the iceberg.
Yeah, I mean, for Georgia, it's really you're trying to kind of find out what you got. I mean, obviously these scrimmages are closed, and the sample size for Gunner Stockton is so small. And even though Kirby kind of dodged the question when I asked him if there was a plan to play more than one quarterback, I mean, you've got to play the other guy. You can't have your number 2 quarterback be a guy that's never taken a snap in a game. I mean, I feel like they have to play 2 quarterbacks, and then what do they do when the guy comes in there? Does he hand off? No, I don't think you can do that. I think you got to let the guy throw, and if the guy looks really good and Gunner doesn't, then what? So, because, okay, you play at Tennessee, and that's a game Georgia should win with just adequate play, but then you got Alabama. And, Kalen DeBoer coached him up last year. I mean, I thought Alabama's coaching staff outcoached Georgia. I mean, part of it was, yes, Georgia's receiver dropped a deep pass on the opening drive, could have answered the score. Yes, Georgia receiver misread an audible, led to an interception that led to an Alabama score. But Bama's offense was moving the ball. Now, some of that was gifted Jalen Milroe runs, but some of it was Kalen DeBoer out-scheming Kirby Smart and Glenn Schumann. And Georgia fans don't want to hear that, but I thought DeBoer and his staff did an amazing job. Now, the second half, obviously Georgia came back, but that first half was coaching. Now, maybe later in the year, other teams had a better read on DeBoer and what Milroe could and couldn't do, but that night belonged to Kalen DeBoer and his staff.
Mike, as far as skill set for Gunner Stockton, what are the concerns with the Georgia coaching staff besides inexperience?
Well, I mean, he's a fourth-year guy, and, the fact that Kirby Smart keeps talking about decision-making 4 years in, and this is a guy that studies tape. I mean, this kid does everything right. I mean, he really checks all. If you're a coach, you want a guy like this to make it because he has been so invested. Home state product, high school legend, goes all the way back. Mike Bobo's dad, George Bobo, coached him up as a quarterback guru way back in his youth. I mean, this is what the guy that the script says this is the guy that comes in on the white horse, but in practice it hasn't happened. It hasn't translated easily. Now, he has been going up against the Georgia defense, and I think this Georgia defense is probably the best in the SEC. That's a bold claim after they lost 3 first-round picks, but they're awful good. So I don't know how much of this is moderated by the fact that Gunner's seen a Texas defense, a Notre Dame defense, and Georgia defenses in scrimmages. I have no doubt he'll look good against Marshall and Austin Peay. Tennessee on the road would be a good test. That's a really good SEC defense, probably in the top, 4 or 5, I'd say, right? But then you got Alabama, and I expect Alabama's defense to be much improved. I still think Alabama is certainly a playoff team, and right now I'd still have them penciled in for the SEC title. I just have such great expectations, especially if the running back's going to be back so soon. Sounded like for a while there we were wondering if he'd be back for Georgia, but now it sounds like they've pretty much said that he will be back for Georgia, right?
That's the general feeling down there. It was not as severe as they originally thought, so we'll see how his rehab goes, and indeed if he is available and ready to go come Georgia. Speaking about Gunner Stockton, I don't think I even asked you this question, or Landrum did during the summer, but I am curious. As we went into the last offseason after the 2024 campaign, was Georgia actively looking for a quarterback? Were they involved in any of the transfer portal potential, whether it was a Mateer, Jackson Arnold, anybody like that? Did Georgia at least kick the tires on a potential other quarterback instead of going all in on Gunner Stockton?
Yeah, they got beat by Indiana on a quarterback, So yeah, they sure did. They had interest, and they had interest last year and the year before in Arch Manning. I mean, this was not, this wasn't necessarily Plan A. I mean, we're down to Plan, D, E, or F. It's like Sam Pittman hired Arkansas. I mean, you wake up one day and this is what you got. And again, this is a guy that holds a lot of records in the state of Georgia. This was a guy that was celebrated. When Mike Bobo was at South Carolina, this kid was committed to him. So it's not like Gunner Stockton, wasn't a prized recruit. He was. It's just that he hasn't played a lot of football, through the first 3 years. And sometimes when that happens, it takes a little while to knock the rust off. I mean, even Carson Beck said that. Carson didn't really have his coming out until he had to against Auburn in the fourth quarter. That's when he found out this guy could really unleash it. And you just wonder, how does Kirby manage that? And I don't think you have a schedule, that allows you to be that conservative. I think on the road it's always tough. You don't want to fall behind. That Tennessee game, it's tricky. I think it's a game Georgia should win, but it's tricky. It's an SEC road game. I mean, gosh, Alabama lost at Vanderbilt. Anything can happen, right? So, and then they got Alabama 2 weeks later. And then you get into October, and, oh, by the way, Auburn's got a bye week before they play Georgia. And what could that game maybe look like? I mean, to me, Auburn, still the biggest mystery in the league. Just don't know what to expect. And I can't wait to see Auburn and Baylor. I think that's a really interesting game. And, I think Alabama fans probably salivating at, getting that opportunity to shut that Florida State quarterback. It's been a while since the team's talked this much trash. Probably Vanderbilt. Remember that year Vanderbilt got off to a good start and thought they could play with Alabama?
I do remember that.
Yeah, Mike Griffith of DawgNation.com and the AJC covers the SEC, joining us on Three Man Front, joining us on the Higginbotham Hotline. We get the announcement, the SEC going to 9 games. Greg Sankey, I believe, saying and paraphrasing that was encouraged, or at least brought about, at least in part, by the enhanced metric used by the College Football Playoff Committee for this upcoming season with the strength of record. How convinced are you that will weigh heavily or be more weighted this season when they're evaluating those teams at the end?
Well, in concert with adding Ivan Maisel and Mark D'Antonio, I feel pretty obviously confident. And if Greg Sankey's drinking that Kool-Aid, I am too. Sankey's made a lot of really good decisions for this league and been a really good commissioner. And no one understands the landscape better than he does. And yes, the Big Ten has some major advantages right now. Among them, they've won the last 2 national championships. They control the largest media markets in the nation. You're already playing catch up from that standpoint. They have a bigger television package. They're kind of the cat's meow right now, and it's hard to believe it's not like the SEC's falling off. That's the sad part about this is the SEC is deeper and better than it's ever been, and in a way, it's like that hurts the league because there's so much balance and because it's so deep. And my goodness, Greg Sankey's tried to explain this a million different ways to people that the value of an SEC win is so much higher than these other conferences. And, all you got to do is look at the top 25. You got 10 of the top 25 teams, and this is before they play each other, because when they start playing each other, they start beating each other, and teams have losses, and, pollsters from outside the region start going, oh, this team has one loss, this team doesn't have any. So let's just, you get into that, flawed logic that we saw from the College Football Playoff Selection Committee last year, that less losses means better, and that's clearly not the case. But when you take a look at the SEC, 10 out of 25 teams, that's 10 out of 16 teams in the league. I mean, it's darn near, 2/3 of the teams. Conversely, the Big Ten has 6 out of 18. That's 1 out of 3. Then you go down to the Big 12, which has 4 out of the top 25. That's, 16%. And the ACC, 3 out of the top 25. That's 12%. 12% for – here's the math. This is not hard. 12% of the ACC teams are in the top 25. 16% of the Big 12 teams are in the top 25. 33% of the Big 10 is in the top 25. And then the SEC has 10 of the top 25. I mean, that's amazing, right? 10 out of 16. I mean, it's just, to me, it's incredible.
That is Mike Griffith. Mike, you got a few more minutes. Can we hold you over?
Yeah, for sure.
Okay, wonderful. I want to get your thoughts on some of the slates, some of the big games in the SEC coming up this weekend. That's Mike Griffith from the AJC, DawgNation.com. More with Mike when we return on Three Man Front. It is 10:20. We continue our conversation with the AJC, DawgNation.com's Mike Griffith here on Three Man Front. Mike, I wanted to ask you about a couple of games. Obviously, Auburn and Baylor, that is extremely interesting. Auburn is a slight favorite on the road, but so much talk about the quarterback play. Jackson Arnold takes over Hugh Freeze's offense. Just your thoughts on Auburn. I know when we talked to you in Atlanta, you're pretty high on this Auburn team this year.
I'm high on the ceiling, right? And it is based on quarterback play. And, again, we don't know behind the scenes, I don't at least, what Hugh is trying to accomplish and what types of situations and scenarios were being run in those scrimmage where, he reportedly, didn't shine. You don't know what, how much pressure did they bring, how much were they asking him to do, where's he at on his game management, how's the supporting cast around him. There's so many elements to this that I think we can maybe have a sense, but I wouldn't make any conclusions based on camp reports. I mean, things can, you see that in the NFL preseason every year, right? So, I mean, but this is a bit of a litmus test. I mean, it's a road environment with a new quarterback and kind of a got-to-have-it game for Auburn. I mean, I know that now we talk about with the expanded playoff how, week to week doesn't mean as much, but I think in the world of perception, perception can quickly overtake reality and can kind of create an environment. And whether it's real or imagined, I think those players and coaches feel it. Clemson, LSU is another game like that, right? Clearly either one of those teams could lose and still make the playoff, but there's a desperation in both programs. LSU, with their string of losses in opening games, and Clemson, last time, they were at home, I believe they lost South Carolina. That'd be a tough pill for Clemson fans to swallow. When this is, probably this is a pivotal year for Dabo. I mean, he's got 3 or 4 first-round picks. If not now, win. Can little old Clemson, compete in an NIL world? You talk about Alabama having limited funds. Well, guess what? Clemson's got even less money. So this is a must-win game for Clemson. Must-win for Brian Kelly in the sense of, a lot of confidence. Some of that confidence wavering. You guys repeatedly say Brian Kelly could be on the hot seat. Unless you're hiring Nick Saban, I don't know who else you're going to hire down there. But my point is, I think both of those, that's a desperation game as well. Texas, Ohio State, not so much, on the other hand, right? Because, they both have, favorable, I think, conference schedules and enough talent that I think we know both those programs will get better as the season progresses.
How do you view this Ole Miss team? Because Lane Kiffin and the folks there in Oxford, they're super excited about Austin Simmons, what they've seen from the lefty quarterback. Apparently, he's really, really smart. What do you make, even with the schedule that the Rebels have this season? What are your expectations there in Oxford?
Well, I mean, Ole Miss is one of the heavier transfer teams still. If not the last recruiting class, the class before it, and the class before it. So you got a lot of guys that. The culture of that program is always kind of up in the air when you have that many players that weren't original signees, in my opinion. And, last year those guys, banded together and they all decided they wanted to kick Georgia's ass. I mean, Lane told us there was a couple guys that, maybe it wasn't Lane, maybe it was somebody else that said it. There were a couple transfers in that class that stayed around another year just because, or came to Ole Miss because they wanted to beat Georgia. They lost to Georgia, and when Georgia came to Oxford, mission accomplished. They took care of business. So, does this group, get that close-knit oneness? And I know that sounds so cliche, but all you got to do is look at that team that's going to be across from Alabama in the opener. Georgia wrecked them. When they had those transfers opt out of the Orange Bowl, and Georgia, put the biggest bowl whipping in history on them, literally, which is amazing when you think about parity in today's game. I mean, that broke that program. That culture was blown up overnight, and you saw the results last year. And now Mike Norvell's got to, they got to scramble the Jets and get it back together, and they open up against Alabama. So that's a big game for Florida State. I just don't think they have what it takes to beat a Kalen DeBoer Alabama team. So we'll see. But to answer your question, Ole Miss is with all the transfers. Obviously, they've got a dynamic offense. Obviously, Lane's a fantastic offensive coach. But what's the culture like? What's it like in the locker room, right? So I think a fast start is going to be pretty important to the Rebels. And if I'm not mistaken, I think they have a schedule that's conducive to that.
Very much so. Matter of fact, they're like Mizzou. They play a lot of home games this year. I wanted to ask you about Texas. You were very frank with us last year in regards to your feelings about the Texas Longhorns and the schedule they had and the way that they progressed throughout the regular season. Your thoughts on Arch Manning taking over in this big game in Columbus, Ohio? Will this give us a true barometer of what to expect from the Longhorns this year?
A decent one, but this is a team that's got to grow around Arch. I mean, Arch Manning, he's football royalty. I'm all in. I'm bought in. I like the guys. I like what I see on the field, right? The interview at SEC Media Days, yeah, that's nice, but how does he play? The guy throws the ball and, music plays. I mean, this guy is so talented. It's ridiculous how good this guy is. If there's a problem for Texas, it ain't going to be Arch Manning. So the question I have still about Texas, and we'll find out, is can they get tough enough? Georgia beat them because they were more physical and tougher, mentally and physically. Not because they were better. They were tougher. And so I kind of feel like Texas has got to kind of figure out, somewhere between the high-price NIL deals and Lamborghinis, they got to get pickup truck tough. They got to bring their lunch pails to work and, put the sushi away. I felt like Texas has been kind of a soft program, for a while, and this ain't a place for soft programs in the SEC. And maybe last year, certainly those Georgia games, and even into the playoff. I mean, Texas had enough talent to win the national championship last year. I don't think anybody would debate that. But for some reason, they weren't able to get over that hump. And to me, that's a culture issue. I mean, and that's the challenge now. Is now that you've introduced NIL with the unintended consequences, and a lot of times players are being rewarded before they've actually earned the money, do they stay hungry? Are they as apt to work as hard when they have money to spend and they could be out, driving that six-figure vehicle or out at that expensive restaurant? What's the incentive for them to be in the weight room or putting in those extra workouts, those voluntary workouts, or going without? And the programs that are able to do that effectively are the ones that are going to stay at the top. So I think culture right now in a program is probably more important than ever.
That is Mike Griffith from DawgNation.com. AJC joins us every Tuesday. Mike, should be a lot of fun this upcoming weekend. Remind everybody about the Instagram page, because I know that there's probably a couple of dates still open this fall to be able to take advantage of your wonderful property down in Gulf Shores. Yeah.
So we got a couple weeks that are still open in September. A couple weeks been booked, of course, and and I think we got some time in October. And anybody that listens, I've said this before, we offer the 25%, right off the rates. If they let me know with an Instagram message to @GulfShoresGetawayAL, if they send a message or contact you guys and let me know they're interested, let me know they're WJOX listeners, I'll take that 25% right off the cost and figure something out with them. But all reports from everybody's enjoyed it. I mean, still 5-star ratings across the board, and weather's been nice down there. So I haven't even had a chance to go down there. It's been pretty much booked up all summer and most every week of the fall. But we do have some openings now in September and October if people are interested in a property that sleeps up to 10. Couple families
Yep.
go down there for a football weekend, and flat screens in every room, free wireless, good stuff. 60 yards from the beach. Not a bad way to spend a weekend.
No, it's great. As a matter of fact, Mike, the other night we had our Jocks kickoff party. We had 200-plus people at this kickoff party, and I can't tell you how many people came up to me and asked me details about your property because they knew that me and my family, we stayed there back in the summer, and I just could not have gone on more and more about it. So I think you're definitely going to see an uptick, especially from Jocks listeners here, whether it's this fall or maybe spring and summer next year. So a lot of people are interested.
Yeah, well, Alabama's a great state. It's growing right now. I've talked about the economy there. I'm bullish on it, right? I think we're in a good place, and, not to get too political, but there's been a lot of decisions made lately that make me think that more commerce will be coming to the state, and certainly now Gulf Shores with that Legion Airlines and all the flights they got going in there and that airport, 5 miles from the beach. A lot of good things going on down there. So a lot to be excited about in the state of Alabama this season. Football season, beach season, and I believe economy-wise.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Well, Mike, enjoy the kickoff this weekend as the Georgia Bulldogs get things started. Should be a great Labor Day weekend, and we'll talk to you next Tuesday.
Thanks, Mike.
All right, guys. Look forward to it. Thank you.
Thanks. That's Mike Griffith. He joins us just like all of our guests do on the Higginbotham Hotline. You deserve solutions that are built for you. Higginbotham is your one-source solution for insurance, financial, and HR services.
Speaking of discounts, Mandu, just across the way from me here in downtown Homewood, it's Boutique Fitness. It's electrical muscle stimulation fitness. 15-minute workout, the equivalent to 6 hours in a gym. Here's what you need to know. Speaking of discounts and saving you money, right now if you go in, you say, I heard this from Landrum on Jocks, you sign up for Mandu. They'll put you through a workout free of charge to see if you like it. I can almost guarantee you you're going to like it. I can guarantee you're going to get results. But if you do it, mention Landrum, mention Jocks. 10% off. Not only your membership for the first month, your membership for as long as you're a member there at Mandu. Mandu in downtown Homewood. You got to check it out. At least go for the free 15-minute workout to decide if you like it. Mandu in downtown Homewood. MANDUU.com. Check it out there and tell Paul and the gang that Landrum from Jocks sent you.
Larry from Homewood has joined Don and Officer Walt, so come on by and see us. They're going to let you up here on the Taco Terrace. That's what kind of pool we have here at Social Tacos. Come on by and see us. More three-man front live on location on this beautiful Tuesday in Birmingham.